Welcome to episode 3 of Fascinating, a Star Trek podcast, where no man has gone before.
In this week's episode, the Enterprise attempts to cross an imperceptible barrier at the edge of our galaxy. When this effort causes a crew member to display unusual symptoms, Kirk must decide between loyalty to an old friend and the safety of his ship.
Improving the breed, Doctor. Is that your line?
I heard that's more your specialty, Commander. Line included.
Walking freezer unit.
Good evening, Iain, you a walking freezer unit.
Find that offensive?
Why?
I'm not sure why, but it sounds wrong. I mean, we'll get to this.
Yeah, there are a few things in this episode, I think.
Things to pick up on.
Off the bat, I have to say, correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed pretty obvious that this was an earlier episode.
Yeah, of course. It was the pilot episode. It's a bit odd that they've aired it as if it were just a standard one.
Very odd. The makeup, the effects, obviously some of the characterizations were different from even the first couple of episodes that I've been exposed to.
Yeah.
And also, it seemed to be that Charlie X has ripped off the theme here. A lot of similarities.
Well, there are certainly some common ideas between the two of them.
Yeah.
Before we get into this episode, or the nitty-gritty of this episode, do the usual reminders, or I'll do the usual reminders that I've put out the last couple of weeks. We're watching Star Trek the original series on Netflix, so we're using those versions. So if you've got your VHS tapes at home with the original graphics and the original effects, and you don't understand what we're talking about, then that'll be why. Don't worry about it. Yours may be much more nostalgic. I wouldn't worry about it. We're watching these also in air date order. Okay, so this obviously was the pilot episode. It was filmed first. In fact, it was filmed, I think, a fair wee way in advance of the rest of the series, but it was aired third, which makes no sense, and we'll come back to that, I think, towards the end of the episode.
Are you ready to begin?
Sure, why not?
Crack on.
Okay, we begin with an exterior. I think even the exteriors are different. You might have noticed that the starscape is a bit more basic, and the ship is much more obviously a model than the remastered ones that we've seen.
Yeah. We obviously begin with a captain's log.
Yeah, what's the star date?
Do you not know?
No.
1312.4.
Okay, doesn't matter.
And they're picking up a signal from where? From what?
It's an automated distress signal from an aged craft. They say a couple of centuries previous, so that would make it a 21st century craft, one not long from our future.
Mm-hmm.
There's an implication here, I think, that there's no record that they have of another vessel approaching this area of space.
Yeah. So
it must be an unknown or an unrecorded mission.
Can I mention as well that there was an odd, not necessarily a bad opening, but as the voiceover is speaking, the camera zooms in on Spock who's talking. It's just
Yeah, I noticed throughout this episode there was a lot more in terms of camera angles on the bridge than we've had previously.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, there's a one almost from Spock's station across the bridge, which I don't really recall seeing in the first two episodes at all. I thought it was quite interesting.
It was, yeah.
It was also quite an expensive episode, I think, to make, so perhaps these extra cameras are things that they didn't have the luxury of. And I think that might also be partially to blame for why this was put out as an episode.
Makes sense. They're playing chess. Old 3D chess again.
Yeah, we say again for the first time. See, I wonder how much of the first season borrowed from this pilot, not expecting it or not knowing that it was going to be broadcast, because things like this 3D chess game, it's the exact same game that they play last week.
Yeah, why wouldn't they?
It's the same outcome, it's the same passage of play, it's the same conversation.
Yeah.
You know, you play illogically. Yes, but I was distracted and I just beat you.
Yeah. Watching it, I'm thinking to myself, especially when you consider the makeup in Spock's hair, his very yellow skin, that this looks like a pilot that was used to as pilots are, to get the show commissioned, and you don't necessarily need to broadcast them.
Yeah, it's very popular though. in my understanding. So I guess they guessed right when they put this one out, but it doesn't make sense in terms of continuity. You've got so many things. We'll come across them all in due course, but there's so many things.
Back to this vessel, 200 years old.
Yeah. Well, are we going back to the vessel? Oh, Kelso coming on the monitor to talk about it, isn't he?
Yeah, are they in it's the briefing lounge, not the recreation room, I don't think.
I can't tell the difference at this point. Is it not the recreation, or have they just taken the chessboard into the meeting room?
Who knows? But they're wearing mustard-coloured crew necks this time as well.
Yeah, these are the uniforms from the original pilot.
Yeah.
We saw them actually last week. You saw the crew of the other ship that brought Charlie were wearing them.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I don't think we see them again.
Good.
Yeah.
We have a bit of an exposition dump, although I think it's a contradiction when we're told that Spock had an ancestor who apparently married a human and is therefore himself not entirely human. Now, I thought that we found out his mother was a human.
Yeah, we haven't found out yet, but we do find out. So I think this is maybe...
I'm sure we found out last.
Did we?
Or
maybe
so.
Maybe we did then, but yeah, it's clearly a early characterization. They haven't nailed all the facts down at this stage, have they?
No.
As well as when he says one of your Earth emotions.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense if you've got a human mother. And in fact, it doesn't make sense anyway, because Vulcans have emotions, they just don't express them.
And as you mentioned, Kirk again beats Spock at this game.
I think there must be a fundamental flaw in Spock's chess game.
Yeah, it's a type of game that for his persona you'd think would be very, very good at it.
Yeah, and he seems to always miss the obvious. He's one move away from getting beaten. He's no idea what's happening.
In any case, they get a message from Kelso on the bridge. I'm assuming that Kelso is going to be a recurring character.
Oh, I'm sure.
What's his message?
He notes that this distress signal is coming from what isn't even a vessel. It's a tiny little thing about 1 metre in diameter and could be brought aboard if Kirk's okay with that risk.
Yeah, so he is. We go to the transporter room and Kirk orders, is it Scotty?
This is Scotty. This is the first time we've seen him.
To bring this vessel aboard. And when it arrives, we find out that it is an old ship recorder, ejected due to a threat which probably destroyed the mothership.
Yeah, like a black box.
Sure.
Did you notice Scotty called the transporter a materializer?
Did he?
Yeah, it's a bit odd. Well, again, obviously, I think there's a few. This is one of, again, quite a few things where they haven't quite nailed down the language they're going to use. So you hear Kirk talk about flashing the bridge and things like that. So we'll hear a few of them. It's, again, need to bear in mind it's a pilot. It's not.
Sure.
It's just it's frustrating because they've broadcast this as an episode,
But
so you have to build it into the canon. But there's so many things don't quite fit.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't necessarily notice these differences because I'm not used to the conventions.
Yeah,
I'd imagine that if you are a fan, it would be quite obvious and perhaps...
it would either be irritating or endearing depending on how sympathetic you are to the episode.
Back to the episode. They decide to try and extract the data from this recorder via Spock's computer. But before they can do this, they are disturbed to hear it begin to transmit again. And so Kirk puts everyone on alert.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they did that or if they did it by itself.
I think it did it by itself.
It wasn't obvious.
Well, the fact that...
They put the alert on, I suppose, yeah.
We then have the credits.
Yeah, slightly different configuration, but nothing major.
And we're at the lift.
Yeah, it's Spock with Gary Mitchell.
The
and
elevator.
Kirk, whatever you want to call it. And Gary is taunting Spock a bit about this chess game.
Yes, to which Spock moans that Kirk played illogically, much to the amusement of Kirk.
Yeah.
I can sort of understand that. It's when you play against someone, often a beginner.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose a good example might be poker. If you're a good player, you are, when you've got a good hand, you're playing it in a certain way where you're trying to give off a signal that you've got a strong hand, and another good player might pick up upon that, whereas the beginner has no clue and decides to go all in. You're thinking, no, that's not the logical play here. But
yeah, makes sense. I suppose there's other things, computer games and so on, where you get someone who can beat you despite having never played it before when you've been on it for a year or whatever else.
Sure.
Up at the bridge.
Mitchell takes his position seated in front of Kirk beside Kelso.
Yeah, you get the impression, or I got the impression, that he must be some kind of a senior officer because of the way he addresses people. He's quite confident. He's not like waiting for instructions. He's proactive when he takes his place on the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, I think we find that out later that he's good friends with Kirk, and obviously, so he's been involved in this for a number of years.
Yeah.
They turn on the screen but see nothing, and Spock advises that the tapes from the recorder have apparently burned out, so you'll have to try the memory banks.
Yeah, the heads of all the various ship's departments arrive on the bridge for this galaxy barrier crossing. It's almost ceremonial, but they're not quite as formal as maybe you would think. And Sulu looks a bit weird in blue.
Yeah, I can't even remember him much this week, to be fair.
He made some comment later on about geometry, but he wasn't really involved very much.
Did you mention that Kirk puts out a ship-wide announcement?
No, neither you nor I mentioned that. It was a wee bit earlier. Yes. He says they've found this device. He explains what it was and what they hope to learn from it and where they got it from.
And at this point, Kirk introduces his department heads, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know them?
It's a bit strange.
In any case, it includes a Smith and a Dr. Denner from Life Sciences, whose job apparently is to study crew reactions in emergencies.
Yeah, Smith's the yeoman. He calls her Jones.
Right.
And she corrects him because it's not her name and he doesn't really seem to care. I'm not sure what the message they're giving off here is, like, she's junior staff and he's not bothered, or...
Well, maybe that's it. Not so much that he's not bothered, but they're emphasising his importance.
Yeah, it could be. Denner's got a lot to say for herself.
Yeah, firstly, I think we should say the guys all seem very attracted, understandably, I must say, to her. But Mitchell acts a bit like an ass, or an arse.
I mean, you say a bit, I mean, absolutely 100%. We heard a bit of it at the start of the show. It's this sort of entitlement syndrome almost. You see it a lot in young men of a certain age who think that the rules don't apply to them and they can behave however they want. Well,
when she swats away his cack-handed advances, it's the stereotypical freezer unit, probably a lesbian. That's the sort of attitude it is.
Yeah, it can't be that I've done something wrong, There's no logical reason for turning me down, so it must be something wrong with her.
She either prefers women or is frigid.
Yeah, nonsense. I'm not sure whether it's more misogynistic or more sexist. Probably a bit of both.
Spock, however, has better luck with the memory banks.
The Valiant had encountered a magnetic space storm and was being swept in this direction.
The old impulse engines weren't strong enough.
Swept past this point, about a half-light year out of the galaxy, they were thrown clear, turned, and headed back into the galaxy here. I'm not getting it all. The tapes are pretty badly burned. Sounds like the ship had encountered some unknown force. Now, orders, counter-orders, repeated urgent requests for information from the ship's computer records for anything concerning ESP in human beings.
Extrasensory perception? Dr. Dana, how are you on ESP?
In tests, I've taken my ESP rated rather high.
I'm asking what you know about ESP.
It is a fact that some people can sense future happenings, read the backs of playing cards and so on, but the Esper capacity is always quite limited.
Severe damage. 7 crewmen dead. No, make that 6. 1 crewman seemed to have recovered. That's when they became interested in extrasensory perception. More than interested, almost frantic about it. No, this must be garbled. I get something about distract. I must have read it wrong. It sounded like the captain giving an order to destroy his own ship.
ESP, we should say, is nonsense.
Of course it is. I thought this show was based on science.
Well, very dodgy science from the 60s, I guess. I don't know what they thought about ESP back then, but I can assure anyone in any doubt that it is 100% garbage.
Up there with subliminal advertising.
Yeah. Anyhow, in fact, I should think these professionals would know better. But anyway, interestingly, they had to have Denner deliberately misunderstand the quest, to get a little bit of background information out. Yeah.
Not sure what all this means, Kirk decides they have to continue with their probe and instructs Mitchell to leave the galaxy at warp level 1.
I think, though, importantly, before that, he seeks opinions from the senior staff. So I think that's setting out his character as a collaborator rather than a gung-ho unilateralist.
Well, we saw from the fact that he ordered the attendance of the heads of departments that he was looking for this sort of input. But as this is attempted, they encounter a force field, causing them to deploy full intensity deflectors. Is that a thing?
No.
No.
Not anymore.
Okay.
You would call that shields, I would imagine.
Do they? Going
Something
forward?
like that, yeah. Did you see Mitchell up to his sleazy ways again, grabbing the hand of Yeoman Smith or Jones as they went through the very scary barrier?
Any opportunity.
Anyhow, as they cross the barrier, we see first Denner and then Mitchell flash and fall to the floor. Kirk rushes to take over the helm and is then quickly replaced by Spock, who takes Mitchell's old seat, steering them out of the field.
Yeah, they managed to pull through the other side after suffering some unknown damage to the ship. But Denner is alive and tells them what happened to her.
Yeah, I don't think, though, they came out the other side. I think they go back.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, yes. Denner, yes, she's got no apparent symptoms once she wakes.
It is serious though, as Spock informs Kirk that 9 of the crew are dead. I didn't expect that.
9 to die.
Yeah. I thought this was a show where maybe occasionally you would get someone dying off screen just mentioned. I mean, obviously this was off screen, but I thought it'd been occasionally, now and again, you might get someone insignificant.
There isn't even anybody wearing a red shirt in this episode.
No.
Anyhow, Mitchell starts to come around and Kirk asks him how he is.
We should say we find out the primary engines are down.
Well, that's quite a major problem. We'll come back to that.
Tell me about Mitchell.
He says he feels weak, and when he opens his eyes, we can see that they're glowing, and we get a little director's razzle-dazzle there.
Yeah, quite a nice effect, I thought, for the time.
The zoom and still. Yep.
Captain's log.
Did you like the exterior shot here of the little dangly ship on the
string? It's okay, yeah. What year are we at, or what's the log number?
It doesn't really matter.
1312.9. Because of the condition of the ship, we find out Earth bases that were earlier only days away are now many years from them. So the big question is, what happened to the Valiant?
Well, I've got another question.
How are we going to get out of this?
How did the Valiant get there? If it only had impulse engines in the nearest places many years away.
Maybe it was a several year mission to get there.
A many year mission just to go there, but nobody knows about it.
Possibly.
I suppose you could always explain it away with spatial phenomena, wormholes and stuff like that.
When in doubt.
Yeah, time travel.
It's a dream.
Yeah, it didn't really happen. Anyway, on the bridge, they learned that the dead crewmen had burned out a specific area of their brains.
Yeah, Kirk and Spock are viewing the medical records of some of the crew, including Denner and Mitchell, and discover that those two both have higher than normal ESP ratings or abilities,
yes.
Especially Mitchell.
It's obviously considered so important that it's right up at the very top of their medical records.
Never mind blood type, or one's got a severe heart condition.
Yeah.
And as you said, Denner appears with news of the burnt out brains from the autopsies. She says she's okay, as is Mitchell, apart from his eyes. They're a bit odd.
She's also got no explanation for why only certain people were affected.
No, but we do find out that they all had high ESP ratings like both of them.
I guess there must be some sort of window, so like when you're below a certain level you don't get affected, then the next level up you get killed, and then if you're above a certain level you gain whatever they're going to gain.
Yeah, Denner and Mitchell must be in the upper echelon then.
Yeah.
Even though they were themselves are different from each other.
Yeah, they must just both be in the same bracket.
Yeah.
Having survived it.
Spock goes on to state that before his death, the captain of the Valiant was looking for information regarding ESP and his crew.
Yeah, Spock comes with a lot of rubbish here about being able to spontaneously start fires and see through solid objects. Nonsense,
No.
Spock, of all people.
That's an arsonist you're thinking of.
Yes, that's who starts fires. Denner's actually quite defensive.
What does she call them? Espers?
Espers, it's as if she's viewing them as some sort of special category of people that they're being criticised, or she's feeling under attack by this concern about ESP.
Yeah, but that's because she's personally involved, or she's got a personal interest.
Kirk then comes up with even more nonsense about a new, more dangerous kind of ESP that they haven't previously considered. And the whole conversation I found vexing.
Yeah, a lot of mumbo jumbo and conjecture.
Yeah, Spock does this a lot actually in this episode. He's got this sort of arrogance about him where he assumes his suppositions are correct and acts on and insists others act on them as well.
Yeah, he should stick to practicing his 3D chess.
He's not even good at that.
No, he's rubbish. Spock knows nothing.
We don't like Pilot Spock as much.
Down or up at the dispensary.
Sick bay.
Mitchell is in bed doing a spot of reading on his bedside computer screen with his weird eyes.
Well, they actually have those bedside computers now
Yeah,
in hospitals.
and they're still larger than... Kirk enters, and during a bit of buddy banter, we find out more about their past relationship before things turn a little sinister.
Hey, man, I remember you back at the academy. A stack of books with legs. The first thing I ever heard from an upperclassman was, watch out for Lieutenant Kirk. In his class, you either think or sink.
That wasn't that bad, was it?
If I hadn't aimed that little blonde lab technician at you...
You what? You planned that?
Well, you wanted me to think, didn't you? I outlined her whole campaign for her.
I almost married her.
Better be good to me. I'm getting even better ideas here.
You, Spinoza?
Once you get into him, he's rather simple, though. Childish, almost. I don't agree with him at all.
Go on.
Hey, I'm trying to tell you I feel fine. When do I go back on duty?
I'm going to ask Dr. Dana to keep you under observation for a while.
With almost 100 women on board, you can do better than that, friend Captain.
Consider it a challenge.
That doesn't seem very friendly. Didn't I say you'd better be good to me?
A little bit confused by some of the things in that clip.
Yeah, I think certainly it's another example of Mitchell's ill treatment of women.
Why?
Well, he's obviously just used this woman as an object to distract Kirk from whatever the problem was.
Yeah, sorry, you mean the little...
The student that
Student one,
he
yeah.
pointed in his direction.
I don't understand. So he was setting up this student with Kirk for what purpose?
It's not, I can't figure it out.
Yeah. And then he's offered to for dinner to look after him, and he can do better than that. Firstly, she's the doctor, the psychiatrist. Secondly, he was trying to get it on with her earlier. And then thirdly, she is quite hot, so she should be happy with that.
You would think.
Yeah, there's nothing there that suggests that he would want someone else.
It's obviously triggered something in his brain, I guess. That's
He's taking the huff now because he got a knockback.
Yeah, he's emotionally stunted.
I want a different doctor now. I'm not having her. I don't want to talk to her.
She's mean. Yeah, he's a bit fragile when it comes to certain subjects, isn't he?
Yeah. Anyway, we're back at the bridge. With Kirk gone, Mitchell goes back to his reading.
Speed reading.
Yes, he goes through numerous pages in seconds. This, however, is being watched by both Kirk and Spock on the bridge, who have access to his screen and his room. It's almost as if they have access to the TV cameras.
Yes, almost it's virtually the same shot, isn't it? Kirk acknowledges that this is weird behaviour and puts a guard outside sickbay.
24-hour watch, along with a full range of tests, before we see Mitchell turn spookily and stare directly at Kirk through the camera.
Yeah, it's spooky.
It is.
He's a creepy, creepy man.
He's a very creepy man in a number of ways.
I think, in a way, they're trying to build up this backstory between Mitchell and Kirk to make it seem like it's going to be hard for Kirk to take any action against him, but he just comes across as someone that you probably wouldn't miss that much.
Yeah, exactly. This creep. We might have to destroy him. Yeah.
Kirk's fed up with like the 4 hours a week he spends on sexual harassment claims to be quite pleased to get Mitchell off the ship.
Back down at the dispensary, the older Dr. Piper, we haven't discussed him, but he was part of is he one of the heads of the department it's in?
Yeah, only in this episode.
Okay. So Piper tells Mitchell his readings, that's his bodily readings, are perfect before leaving him with Denner, who tries to make peace, and he apologises for the earlier freezer jibe.
Yeah, but then she comes back with the most ridiculous response. Women professionals do tend to overcompensate. What?
Yeah.
I feel like maybe he's influencing her in some way.
He goes on to concern her by changing the readings on his machine, including making himself clinically dead for 22 seconds. Now, that could have went wrong. That would have been hilarious.
The episode just ends. Mitchell's dead.
If you can do that, that's the type of, it's like a sex game gone wrong. You know,
You can't do 23 seconds.
Choke myself out for 22 seconds and, oh no, it's went wrong, I'm dead.
That's what you need Spock to come and say, I bet you can't do it for a minute.
Anyway, he goes on to mention his speed learning ability, and she tests him on this, and he proves that not only can he read fast, but appears to have photographic memory.
He's memorised it all. Strangely, he seems to be recalling a piece that's written in English on another planet in 1996.
Yeah, very futuristic.
Yeah. Ooh.
For the 60s.
Yeah. Well, obviously, in the 60s, they could imagine in 30 years would be colonising the galaxy.
It also happens to be a love sonnet, and Mitchell remarks on this as he grabs Denner close to him. And it's hard to determine exactly how she feels at this point, so she's not pushing away and...
No, well, she's denying his urgings to admit that she feels something from the barrier. And I don't know if maybe she is starting to feel something and she's denying it, or whether she doesn't feel anything and she's just worried.
Do you mean feeling something for him, or feeling
like
a change?
A change in herself.
Well, I think from what we come to learn, that I think this is it starting.
Yeah.
But they are interrupted by Kelso, who updates Mitchell on the state of the engines, and he gives some advice which Kelso thinks initially is a joke, but is soon made to realise that he is serious.
Yeah, he gets very upset about it.
What was the advice?
There's some decaying parts that would cause the impulse drive to explode if they turn it on.
And he explains to Denner after Kelso leaves that he knows about the problem because the image of what he has noticed was in Kelso's mind. So Kelso must be an engineer.
Yeah, he'd been looking at it and he still remembered, it was still in his memory, so Mitchell was able to access it. Creepy.
Can you imagine he get inside your mind, Ian? Oof.
Oh, that would be a challenge.
You'd be locked up.
Harsh.
We're in the briefing room where Kelso informs the others of the problem that Mitchell correctly identified. So I think he's got the part that's been burned out or defective, even though it made no sense that he would have been aware of it.
Yeah, I think this causes some additional concern for Kirk and Spock. They obviously see his powers rapidly expanding.
Yeah, either that or he's been damaging things himself to make himself look like the big man.
Yeah, maybe.
Ian, you've got a flat tyre. I can sense that through my ESP.
I'll check that later.
Hell there when I'm out there with a knife.
A screw and a hammer. Yeah, anyway, Denner arrives late to the meeting.
Yes, and mentions Mitchell, but is immediately corrected by Spock. He is not Mitchell anymore. He is mutating into something else. That's quite a leap by Spock
again,
here.
Spock is taking his suppositions and running with them.
She argues back, saying that she can't understand how they can so easily disregard a man they've known for many years and been friends with, and I agree with her on this.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
Kirk, however, snaps back that he has a duty to act on fact and in the best interest of the ship and its crew.
Yeah, they're certainly not setting him up as a flawed captain, are they? He's getting this sort of, ideal leader character built up in this pilot.
Yeah. It's almost as if he's demanded this from the scriptwriters.
I think you should change this.
Yeah. Denner is then asked about unusual abilities and confirms Mitchell's abilities, that is, and confirms his speed learning and being able to control certain things, although she does seem to underplay it. I'd be more concerned, and I'd make my concerns known, I think.
Yeah, Scotty talks here about the controls in the bridge going a little bit haywire, levers moving and buttons changing.
Yeah.
And Spock notes that every time it happened, he could see Mitchell laughing on his monitor,
twirling his moustache.
Yeah.
At this point, I should say, and maybe I was jumping the gun last week, I don't think Scotty's accent's that bad.
There you go.
I thought it was known to be a terrible, horrible accent. I mean, it's not great, but
it's not horrific.
It's not horrific. I can put up with it, and it's obviously from up north somewhere, one of these tutors.
Yeah, well, my understanding is he was stationed during the war with the actor with other soldiers from Scotland, and they picked up the accent, or as much as he could from them. It's from actual Scottish people, not from making it up.
Yeah, I'll get a pass on that then.
Okay. Denner here drops a bit of a curveball, and she admits that she has been aware of this tendency of Mitchell's to play with the bridge controls. Just didn't mention it.
No harm.
She's chastised for that, though.
Yeah, of course.
But then she goes on this emotional sort of rant about it harming nobody, as if that's the important point, and talks about this evolution of a new superior human race.
Yes, it could be a wonderful thing. And there's silence in the room after this. I think they're all a bit stunned.
Yeah. I wonder, though, is this her knowing that she's going the same way, or is this just her, she's now become infatuated with Mitchell?
Yeah, we're not sure at this point. It's not entirely clear. And I think that's fine to leave that open to...
A bit of ambiguity, yeah.
Yeah. Sulu, at this, has his say and explains that Mitchell's powers are they all seem to know an awful lot about this. It's only just happened within the last half hour, and they've all got opinions and views.
They're top professionals.
Yeah. He says that his powers are increasing exponentially.
They've only just figured out he's got this other power. So, well, if you say 4 powers...
Yeah. And Spock then claims that soon he'll be so powerful that they will be nothing but an annoyance to him. It's like,
where's he getting? What if he's a benevolent god?
Yeah, you're about to say, listen guys, I've got these powers now, let's all go out, we're going to have a great time, I'll look after you.
He uses them to make sorry and brandy come out his fingertip.
Yeah. We'll just have a party. Fix his engines.
Yeah.
All sorts of stuff, yeah. Anyway, Kirk ends the meeting stating that they have not to discuss any of this with the rest of the crew. And with him and Spock alone, they have a pretty frank discussion about their options.
We'll never reach an Earth base with him aboard, Jim. You heard the mathematics of it. In a month, you'll have as much in common with us as we'd have with a ship full of white mice.
But I need a recommendation, Spock, not vague warning.
Recommendation 1. There's a planet a few light days away from here, Delta Vega. It has a lithium cracking station. We may be able to adapt some of its power packs to our engines.
And if we can't, we'll be trapped in orbit there. We haven't enough power to blast back out.
It is the only possible way to get Mitchell off this ship.
If you mean strand Mitchell there, I won't do it. The station is fully automated. There's not a soul on the whole planet. Even the ore ships call only once every 20 years.
Then you have one other choice. Kill Mitchell while you still can.
Get out there.
It is your only other choice. Assuming you make it while you still have time.
Will you try for one moment to feel? At least act like you've got a heart. We're talking about Gary.
The captain of the Valiant probably felt the same way. And he waited too long to make his decision. I think we've both guessed that.
Set course for Delta Vega.
Hang about, Spock.
Drastic. We've only got one other option. Okay, Spock, what's that?
Summary execution.
No. I thought you were going to say sedate him. No, kill him. Why is Spock so keen to kill this guy?
I think he's jealous of Kirk's other friend.
I think so. Yeah, a bit of Holmes and Watson there.
Yeah, I want to be the superior being on this ship.
Straight in there with death. This only happened about half an hour ago when next one to kill the guy. He probably beats him all the time at chess.
He spoke to you angrily that one time. And he laughed. He laughed when he moved the knobs and whistles.
Spock's a psycho. I'm going to keep an eye on him.
Yeah, this is challenging behaviour he's demonstrating here.
So we go from that to a voiceover, a captain's log voiceover. What year? Or what's the...
1973.
1313.1.
Oh, it's nearly Bannockburn.
And it is explained where they are going, the plan, and the unfortunate outcome for Mitchell if they are successful.
Yeah. It's not the same. We've talked the last couple of weeks about them using these captain's logs to catch the audience up after an ad break. It's not really being used the same way in this episode.
It sort of has. It just says they were going to go and dump him in this planet. And
yeah, the decision's now been made. Yeah.
Okay. Down at the dispensary, Kirk, Spock and Denner enter just in time to see Mitchell pour and retrieve himself a drink from across the room. He's putting his abilities and skills to good use. Give me a drink, cheers.
Yeah.
Food.
Oh, kill him now.
TV on. Spock's like that. Did you see that devil? He's like,
next there'll be beer.
Kill him. Kirk. Calm it, Spock. Kill him.
Spock's got 2 guns out. He's like, Kirk asks Mitchell if he's reading people's thoughts, and he says he's reading Spock's thoughts and he wants to kill me.
That's it. If I was Spock, I'd be really concerned because I'm the one that's demanding this guy with these skills who can read my mind is to be murdered. I've been trying to clear my mind, thinking Mitchell's a good guy, isn't he? Mitchell's Mitchell, nice guy.
Whatever we do,
nice guy.
don't kill him. Don't kill him. Kirk asks Mitchell what would he do in his place, and Mitchell says, "I'd do what Spock wants you to do. Kill me."
Oh, I never said that.
It wasn't me.
Spock, I can read your mind. Okay.
Mitchell's not buying it. He zaps them both.
Yeah.
And Denner asks him to stop, but he tells Kirk he doesn't want to be forced down to the planet because he's not sure what kind of a world he can use.
Whoa, use?
Yeah. Doesn't explain that any further.
No. I think we know where he's going with that. Yeah, he sees the world as something that he can use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to have godlike powers.
Yeah. Well, that's like that.
He can move water across the room. I mean, what else can he do?
But for all his powers, Mitchell doesn't anticipate the second attack and is held down and sent unconscious through an injection from Denner.
It's a really odd device he uses to inject him, isn't it?
Yeah.
They might refine that going forward. Anyhow, yes, Denner does sedate him, which suggests that maybe she isn't full in on the transformation plan.
Not yet, no. Down in the... I keep saying down, I assume everything's down. Yeah. In the transporter room.
They keep going lower, it's the only direction.
A listless Mitchell is dragged in by Kirk and Spock. But
still using his legs.
He is, but rallies and has to be subdued again before all three, as well as Denner and Roberts, are beamed down to Delta Vega.
Did you get what he said just before they beamed him down? He was going to squash them all like insects. So Spock's like, "Yeah, I told you! I told you!
Kill him now, just kill him.
Beam him into space!"
We're down in Delta Vega. Now, Delta Vega, do we come across this planet again?
I doubt it, there's nobody there.
Okay. They arrive in this industrial-looking place and are joined by Kelso and another crew member who are slightly confident that they can, or only slightly confident that they can harness the local power for their engines.
There's a bit of a concern about blowing themselves up. You wouldn't want to do that.
No. And then with only Denner beside him, Kirk confirms to her that they're the only chickens who are living creatures on the planet.
That sounded like a quote, but I couldn't find out anywhere where it would have been from. Nobody but us chickens.
Chicken Little.
Is it from that?
Don't know.
That wasn't even written, was it?
No, don't know.
Yeah. Anyway.
Babe Pig in the City too.
Could be that.
Yep.
Probably watched that.
Stuart Little. No, that's chicken. I don't know.
I don't know.
We're in the control room of, I don't know what it's controlling, but a control room where Kelso is told to wire up a switch that could destroy the fuel bins from that point.
Yeah, basically everything on the planet.
Yeah.
Does people who built them not need them?
I don't know, but I'm surprised that it wasn't Spock giving this order.
Right. What we want you to do is a secret big button that says destroy.
They are then informed that Mitchell has regained consciousness and they walk to the electrified cell, just like in Charlie X.
It's fortunate that this unpopulated planet has a prison cell.
Yeah, or have the other crew created this?
It does look a bit like it's been rigged up. It's maybe a bedroom or a closet or something. It's got a bed in it though.
Yeah, but I think you only need a room, and in the doorway you can attach this
force field.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure the Trekkies out there will be able to tell us.
No doubt.
So we're at the cell. Kirk orders that one person remain with Mitchell and another should watch over from a monitor. And who do we think volunteers to stay and talk with him?
Spock.
I'll stay.
I'll look after him.
Yeah. Nope, Spock. You're at the monitor. Come on! I need to keep a gun for protection. Spock, up. No, it's Denner.
Yes, it's Denner.
And at this point, Mitchell tries to play on Kirk's loyalty and reminds him of a time when I think he saved his life.
Yeah, but Kirk explains that he isn't stupid. He's noticed Mitchell experimenting with controlling the Enterprise and threatening to crush them like insects.
Yeah, fair point, he's saying. So, on one hand...
Mitchell at this point admits that as a race of espers, they would eradicate humans.
And tells him that Spock was right and Kirk should kill him.
Yeah, he tries to break through the force field at this point, but it's too strong for him.
Denner claims that he doesn't mean it. But he shows he does by as you say, deliberately electrocuting himself on this force field. I think it's a deliberate.
But you see his eyes go back to normal because his power's drained slightly.
Yeah, I think at this then they realised that there was an opportunity to take care of him, that this weakened his state, and obviously that will be vital towards the end of this episode.
They don't do anything with it right now.
No, because within seconds he is back up and claiming to be stronger than ever.
Yeah.
Up in the bridge, Scotty's there. Yeah,
he notes that the new panel that Kelso rigged up fits perfectly.
Yeah, and surprises Kirk by asking about but
Here we go.
the phaser rifle for Spock.
Spock comes in and says, I'm going to do some clay pigeon shooting.
Spock, where are you going with that rifle?
I'm just going for a walk.
He's a maniac. He's absolutely desperate. He's to murder people.
Well, this particular person,
Yeah.
it's for self-defence. That's what he says. If he approaches me, I can shoot him.
There again is a discussion and division over what they should do. And Kirk puts forward Denner's case that Mitchell isn't a danger, but Spock states that this is because she feels and he is not letting his emotions. That's serial killer patter. Yeah, that person there doesn't want to kill people because they've got feelings and emotions. I'm right. I have no feelings and no emotions. So
Trust me.
yeah.
Yeah. Kirk gives Kelso the order to detonate this destruct button that he's rigged up.
Yeah.
In the event that he's the last man standing, basically.
Also, Spock isn't confident that they can repair the ship and leave before Mitchell overpower. Again, it's just more excuses.
He's making it up. He's got no basis.
Yeah, there's no chance we really need to kill him now.
Yeah, he can't get out of this force field, but just in case he's... Anyhow, we get a captain's log where Kirk notes commendations for Kelso and the entire engineering crew for having been successful in their work.
13.3.
Mitchell, though, is still getting stronger.
Yeah, but down at the cell, Denner is now, I think we can say, is fascinated by Mitchell. And Kirk asks for Piper.
Yeah, Denner notes that Mitchell's been standing staring for hours and says that she wants to stay behind with him when they leave.
Yeah, so Kirk is organising the leaving exit party. And he tells Spock what Kelso has been told to do if Mitchell escapes, and notes that he thinks Mitchell is aware of this.
We then get a wee friendly conversation between Kelso and Scotty.
Do we?
Yeah, Kelso thinks his team have done a good job and they're ready to leave before a cable kills him by itself.
Yep, again, wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting a strangulation death on the screen, so I quite enjoyed it.
You're one to criticise Spock.
Yeah.
Ooh, more strangulations, please.
No, again, just my perception of the show was that it was very family friendly and again from the 60s, so I didn't think that you would be sure. So here's a question: what time would this have been out at? I'm assuming it'd have been after, say, 8 p.m.
Probably.
It's not like
you can't have murders like this in the middle of the day. When you pretty much did Columbo go out?
Most of Columbo was, as we know, was off screen. You would see the impact, you'd see a shriek or a scream, but you didn't really.
I think the Star Trek air times are known. I don't know them off the top of my head, but I know that there was some controversy about them getting moved to unfriendly slots to affect the ratings because the studio had problems. But
okay,
certainly to start with, I think it was a fairly reasonable slot, but early evening maybe.
Sure. Back at the cell, Kirk orders Denner to leave with them, whilst she insists that Mitchell is not evil, and he reiterates that he should have killed him when he had the chance, and at this he uses his powers to stun and knock out both Kirk and Spock.
Yeah, and strangely invites Denner into his cell.
Yes, so I'm assuming at this point she is fully over to the dark side, as it were.
Yeah, he takes her over to his little shaving mirror that he's built or been given, and she has shiny eyes as well.
She does, yeah. Piper returns a little bit later. It's a cutaway to find Kirk waking, and as he tells him about Kelso, he gives him a rejuvenation type pill.
Yeah, Spock's alive, but Kirk tells him not to revive Spock with a pill until he's had the chance to get away.
Yeah, because both Mitchell and Denner are now gone, and as you say, he instructs Piper not to disturb Spock because he blames himself here. He must hunt him down, and he does so with his big gun.
He takes Spock's big gun.
He does.
He says in 12 hours, if he's not back, they have to leave and have the planet irradiated.
Yeah, he's now... Spock's like, yes, great plan. At last, high five.
Something I can get on board with.
Outside, Mitchell produces a a miracle to create a vegetative oasis in the barren landscape where they can drink and
Almost like
eat fruit.
Garden of Eden type setup.
Yeah,
Complete with apples.
it is indeed. And we cut to Kirk creeping up, but he's immediately sensed by Mitchell, especially when he starts knocking over boulders. You don't have to be ESP.
Yeah, he's not giving them a challenge.
a
there, is he?
big, massive boulder throwing, yeah. Anyway, he then talks directly to Kirk with his new powers, from a distance that is, and seems entirely unconcerned about this mere mortal's approach. In fact, I think he's looking forward to his arrival.
Yeah, Dana also recognises that Kirk is on his way.
Yeah, and her powers have increased to the point where she can hear or see him in her mind.
Yeah, Mitchell sends her to speak with him.
And Kirk asks her for help, but she believes Mitchell is right, and they have a heated discussion about man, gods, and compassion.
Before long, we'll be where it would have taken mankind millions of years of learning to reach.
And what will Mitchell learn on getting there? Will he know what to do with his power? Will he acquire the wisdom?
Please go back while you still can.
Did you hear him joke about compassion? Above all else, a god needs compassion! Mitchell! Elizabeth.
What do you know about gods?
Then let's talk about humans. About our frailties. As powerful as he gets, he'll still have all that inside him.
Go back.
You were a psychiatrist once. You know the ugly, savage things we all keep buried that none of us dare expose, but he'll dare. Who's to stop him? He doesn't need to care. Be a psychiatrist for 1 minute longer. What do you see happening to him? What's your prognosis, Doctor?
He's coming.
And watch him. Hang on to being a human for 1 minute longer.
I'm disappointed in you, Elizabeth.
I think that sound we heard at the end was Kirk shooting Mitchell.
Yes, he hits Mitchell, but with no effect, and he then swats the gun out of Kirk's hand.
We see a grave that Mitchell's made up with Kirk's name wrongly engraved on it.
Yeah, James R. Kirk.
I think there's some sort of retcon suggestion that was to do with a nickname he had at the academy, but I suspect it's just they hadn't finalised what his middle name was going to be.
I suspect that also, yes.
I think they maybe thought it'd be Richard.
Okay.
That'd be good.
And above the grave, we see him start to move a huge boulder.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's how he intends. It's not as easy, but when you've told the person that you're going to land a boulder on him.
Yeah, I'm not going to stand under that boulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this, Denner tells him to stop, but this has to be dealt with, I think. And he claims that morals are for men, not gods.
That's what he says. Denner's, I think, shocked by this.
Yeah, Kirk notes this god delusion, I suppose, but claims it is driven by human frailty and appeals to Denner, asking if she likes what she sees, what Mitchell has become. And there are a few instances of this here.
Yeah.
Where he tries to play them off against each other, which ultimately works.
Yeah, he talks about absolute power corrupting absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is a well-known...
It is.
Was that Shakespeare?
Or Vince Neil.
One of the two.
Yeah. Mitchell forces Kirk closer to him, forcing him to pray, to kneel down, hands clasped. And again he tries to play Denner off against him by asking if it's both of them he has to pray to, or just him. It's all going to his head, this.
Yeah.
These godly powers.
Absolutely.
It would do, mind you, wouldn't it?
Well, you would think it would be quite challenging to deal with emotionally.
And this seems to do the trick.
Yeah, Dana flips.
She does, and attacks Mitchell, who is forced then, therefore, to fight back. So the two of them have a go at each other with their electrical SP powers, shocking each other, stunning each other. They're both weakened, and she tells Kirk to hurry. This ends in a fight for a few moments.
Yep, and Kirk gets the upper hand and has a boulder in his hand ready to crush Mitchell's skull.
He's about to cave his head in with a brick.
Yes, the way that Spock would approve.
Yes. But just at the last second, Mitchell regains some of his power and throws him off.
He does, but Kirk is able to wrestle him into the grave.
Yeah, they both end up in there. Kirk jumps out first, grabs the gun that was swatted from him, and takes aim at the big boulder above. You see, that's, again, it's James Bond stuff, isn't it, when Barry's explain their plan?
Yes.
That's what's happened here.
Yep, he's hoist on his own petard, you may say.
He is. So Kirk shoots the boulder, it caves in, collapses and into the grave on top of Mitchell. Now, bearing in mind that he's effectively a god now, we know his strength and powers. It didn't seem likely that that would necessarily or definitely have done him in.
Yeah, it killed him.
Yeah,
Dead.
I'm not sure. If it was a horror movie, they would walk away and you would just see the hand.
Yeah, coming back out, or the rock shaking or something, yeah. I'm sure I read somewhere that there was some thought given to bringing him back as the villain in one of the movies, but they couldn't deal with a big bad guy called Gary. They didn't want that.
Doesn't sound too intimidating.
It's not really, is it?
Well, I'm saying that. You've got Gary Glitter.
Denner, at this point, appears to die of sadness.
Yes, with Mitchell defeated, Kirk goes over to the now apologetic but dying Denner, who with her last words says that he can't know what it's like to be almost a god.
There you go.
And yeah, she passes away and he pulls out his flip phone to be beamed up.
On the bridge.
1313.8.
Oh, it's all fit conveniently within a day.
Yeah.
Kirk notes the deaths of Denner and Mitchell in the line of duty, and I think they're given fairly
honourable
death records. And I think Kirk explains that it's because they didn't ask for what happened to them, and that's fair enough.
I think so, yeah.
He didn't note that he killed them either.
And then we've got a bit of cheek here, a bit of cheek and nonsense. Spock, because Mitchell
got what he wanted.
He got what he wanted. He's like, yeah, I felt a bit for him too.
I felt a little bit bad. I mean, I want him to die painfully, preferably, but yeah.
And Kirk remarks that there is some hope for him yet. No, I would have said, Spock, you're at it. You were desperate. Numerous times you wanted me to kill him, and he's now dead. Don't pretend that you're sad and that's terrible. It had to happen, but I feel bad. No, you didn't feel bad. You were absolutely delighted. Spock sitting there trying to put on a sad face, but he's desperate to break into a big grin.
And he's thinking he won't be mocking my chess game again.
Or this yellow makeup, dodgy haircut.
Yeah. So, what do you think?
Yeah, like I say, as soon as I started watching it, I knew it must have been an earlier episode. So some of the production values were lesser than what I'd become used to.
Production values being lesser rather than
but the makeup and the hair was terrible.
Yeah, but it was a much more expensively produced episode, so it might just be they hadn't got to the refined version rather than it being less of an investment in the production.
Yeah, but as you're saying as well, the shots of the Enterprise was a yogurt pot on a stick.
Yeah, I liked that. I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe not as professional.
I thought Charlie X was better, taking the same sort of theme.
Idea, yeah.
Yeah.
At least then you had some engagement with the guy who didn't want to be a villain necessarily, or maybe did. You know, there was some sort of thought about it, whereas Mitchell was just, as soon as he got the powers, it's like, yes, I kill you.
Yeah. After watching Charlie X just, was it last week?
Yeah.
Yeah. I could have done without this. Now, I would have been happy to come back to this as a special, and if it was on a DVD.
Yeah, an extra.
Pilot, but I could have certainly done without watching this just this week. I don't think it added anything. If you're watching it from like myself, from the beginning, you're looking for the characters and the traits and the characteristics in the show to be improved upon week, to be developed, and this is a regression. So, yeah, it was okay. Didn't need it.
I mean, there probably will be people who know. My guess is this was financial. They've got a budget for the season, and they've got this episode already made. Why spend, why divide their budget over 26 episodes when they can divide it over 25?
Well, why not place it later in the run?
It makes no sense at any point in the run, does it? They should have put it out first, but I think there were reasons not to.
Yeah, didn't look very good.
Yeah. Well, it got the studio execs on board, I suppose. Although this wasn't actually the version that was sent to the studio execs, there were changes.
Okay.
I think that one had an introduction where Kirk took them past Jupiter and on out into the galaxy and whatever else.
Yeah, like I say, it was fine, but unnecessary.
It does feel a bit more dated. I mean, even more dated than the regular episodes, to the point that having watched the other episodes, I think it takes you out of the frame of reference. Almost like you feel like you're not watching the same show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm expecting to have the show developed and get a greater understanding as we move on. But this sort of knocked me a little bit. Yeah.
In terms of the story, I thought that very similarly to what we assumed the captain of the Valiant did, Kirk took too long to make his decision, and he's lucky not to be killed.
Mm-hmm. Spock was right.
Yeah. What do you think the moral question here is compared to Charlie X? I think it's a different moral question.
What do you think? Do you tell me?
Well, it's one of these ones where you're very aware that the guy didn't choose to become enhanced, but he's clearly deranged, and there is no safe way to deal with it.
Yeah, for me, it's deicide. Gods should be killed at the first opportunity.
At every opportunity.
With a big gun. That's
All
what I think they're trying
down
to say.
with gods.
Yeah, mankind is more important than God.
Which is a very different question to last week. Obviously, Charlie wasn't godlike.
No.
Nor did he believe he was.
No.
Thought the ESP stuff was really jarring.
Yeah, it's not.
I didn't like it. It's such a lot of garbage. It's like takes you right out of it to start with.
Yeah, had it been an alien creature, then that's fine because they can be whatever they want to be. But they've distilled this into humans, and it's like, unless of course you're saying in 200 years this is a skill ability developed that, yeah.
I still hate it. I did like the concept of this edge of the galaxy having a barrier that you can't pass through. Because why not?
Do you have any trivia for us this week?
Well, I've got a few things. The original air date, 22nd of September 1966. Directed by James Goldstone, the first of his 2 Star Trek episodes. He also directed episodes of Dr. Kildare and The Outer Limits, as well as a number of TV movies in the 70s and 80s. He died in 1999 when he was 68.
Quite young.
Yeah. The writer of the episode was Samuel A. Peoples. He initially found success writing Western novels under the pen name Brad Ward. This was his only episode of Star Trek's original series, but he did go on to contribute a story to the subsequent animated series, and he wrote a script for the second movie that wasn't ultimately picked up. He died in 1997 at the age of 79.
That's better.
Gary Lockwood played Gary Mitchell. He's still alive.
Oh, well done to him.
Yeah, this is his only Star Trek appearance, but he also showed up in 4 Murder She Wrotes, 6 Barnaby Joneses, and many other things. And he's also got a credit in an interesting looking 2018 movie called Unbelievable, which seems to feature almost exclusively former Star Trek actors. I think maybe puppets and things.
Get to the 2 Columbo actors.
We'll get there. Now, Sally Kellerman played Dr. Denner. She's a fairly well-kent face. She's got an Oscar nomination for her role in MASH. She's got a Columbo appearance, as you said. And she's worked on many other programmes, even recently shows like Decker and Marin.
Mentioned her before. I think she plays Marin's mother, although I've not watched the show.
Yeah. She's also released 2 music albums, and she was nominated for a Daytime Emmy in 2015 for her work on The Young and the Restless. Paul Carr's a good one, a particularly good one for anyone who's followed us from the Columbo podcast.
Kelso.
Yes, he has the privilege of being the only actor to make a single appearance in both Star Trek and Columbo, and for both of those appearances to come in pilot episodes.
Yeah, that's good.
Because he was Hammond in Ransom for a Dead Man.
He was.
He also appeared on shows like Ironside and Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, and he died in 2006 at the age of 72. Finally, Paul Fix. He was the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Piper, who was obviously quickly rendered unemployed by Dr. McCoy. He was 65 at the time the episode was made, more than halfway through a 56-year career. He died in 1983 at the age of 82, and might be best remembered as Judge Taylor from the original movie adaptation of To Kill a Mockingbird.
No doubt.
Some other bits and pieces. According to the making of Star Trek, the pilot cost $330,000 to produce and was received much more positively than The Cage had been.
Cage must be terrible.
Well, it's not... You don't always get a chance to make a second pilot, so there must have been enough in it that they thought, okay, we don't like this yet, but here's another $250,000 or whatever, go and do another one.
Columbo had a couple.
Kind of.
Sort of. For all intents and purposes.
I think one of the criticisms of The Cage was a lack of action, so this one swung strongly the other way. You never see the phaser rifle again in Star Trek, the original series.
Oh, Spock will be devastated.
Yeah, he probably just uses it in private. There's an unaired version, I think I talked about this briefly during the episode. The actual version of the pilot that was sent to the studio has a number of little changes to the script and the production and a whole additional introduction. Mitchell's silver eyes were done with contacts that were extremely painful to wear and only had pinhole vision, so he had to hold his chin up, which is why you got that sort of aloof look, helping with him sneering at people.
That worked, I think.
International titles, my favourite part of the trivia section. The Germans call this Die Spitze des Eisbergs, the tip of the iceberg. Why? I suppose if he's the first one, there could be many more like that, I guess. The Italians went for Oltre la Galassia, Beyond the Galaxy. Bit dull.
Yeah.
Most folk called it Where No Man Has Gone Before.
Yeah.
The only other one that was different was Japan. They opted for the pleasingly specific Hikaru Medama, which means shining eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it's accurate, I suppose.
That's one part of the episode.
It doesn't say too much about it.
It doesn't give you much of a clue, does it?
Yeah.
Next week, we're looking at the 4th episode of season 1, The Naked Time.
Oh.
No nudity is involved.
Okay.
I think, well, maybe Sulu gets stripped to the waist.
Mm.
In the meantime, social media, you can find us everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We're at Trek Podcast on the social media platforms, and the website is www.startrekpodcast.com.
Come along to that and get involved in a discussion, an argument, a fight.
Yeah, pick an issue with our thoughts on the episode.
Yeah, pick an issue with Ian's thoughts on it. Tell me he's wrong.
We'd enjoy that.
Or fight amongst yourselves, maybe just
That's
watch.
better. We don't have to moderate it too closely. Yeah, so we'll see people in 7 days' time.
Until then,
Cheerio.
bye-bye.